Welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, Dedication. My name is Dakota Lang, along co-host Garrett Cotten. Today we're going to just give a life update, kind of talk about what we've been having going on in our life. Obviously, I've had a big life-changing event, having my first child, or not me having my first child, but Journey having our first child, a little girl. Her name's Valley.
And what was the date of birth? You remember how much she weighs and all that kind of stuff?
Yep. May 22nd, 7.6 ounces and 19 inches in length, I think.
Valley Heart Lang.
Yep. So now Evelyn and Addie and the new baby going to have a good cousin.
That's right. Yeah, no, it works out perfect for – me and Caitlin, we never really made an announcement about it or anything like that. Yeah. So a lot of people probably don't know other than family. But, so Dakota, we've got 2 under 2 right now. Dakota just had Valley. And then me and Caitlin have baby girl number 3 on the way, which is going to be due in September. So she's about 6 months along right now, but it'll be perfect. Dakota's little girl going to fit right into the mesh. So
yep, exactly. Now you got Evelyn walking up. Where's baby Valley?
Oh, yeah. She's ready to babysit.
Yeah, ready to babysit. So today we're just going to kind of dive in and give an update. It's been a little bit since we've done that. Just kind of talk about what's been going on in our personal life as well as what's going on in both of our businesses. Mm-hmm. So last month you had a big, I wouldn't say a record month, but definitely a damn good month. Yep. I think your region finished right up under 6 million.
Yep.
Talk about maybe some of the things that you did last month and maybe some of the wins and maybe even some of the challenges that you had to overcome.
Yeah, kind of looking back on it each month, I feel like there's like a lesson of the month. Like the month before, it was kind of like I was going through every office, kind of giving that prison analogy. Last month, this previous month, every office that I was going to was all about the keeping it simple mantra. Like I went to Columbus one week and did a script review. Like the most simple, no sales training whatsoever, simple script review. But the whole month was all about keeping it simple, back to the basics, and that was kind of the mantra for the month. And it's kind of like I'll run the same meeting, wherever I travel to, I'll run the same meetings. And it just so happens to be usually a good fix. So I would say last month was a lot of keeping it simple, not overcomplicating it, fake it till you make it type mindset of just convincing ourselves, even if it's not a good day or something like that we've been winning every day. So I think that's really helped to maintain our region. Another side thing that it might also attribute to, the keeping it simple to help out is I did do an incentive for all my market owners, which shout out Chandler Cardone. He's going to be receiving the incentive for this past month. So I did an incentive amongst all 6, or at the time 7 of my market owners, that if we're the top region in our company, I'll also incentive the top market, whichever office has the most revenue. I'll incentivize them with a $4,000 Louis Vuitton duffel bag for travel. So Chandler Cardone was able to come out top market. I think they finished like 1.25 million. So he was able to get that incentive. So I think that also attributed to a big month last month, as everybody was hungry trying to get that bag. And so we got another big incentive going out this month.
Yeah, double.
Yeah. So I got it. It might come back to bite me in the butt, but I said for every month that we maintain top office in the company, I'll double
top
that.
Region.
Yeah. I mean, top region in the company. I'll maintain and double the value of the incentive that goes to the top office.
I was looking. Who's number 1 right now?
In the company?
Yeah, and this month so far? Who's number 1 region?
Nashville's pacing like 1.3 million, and I think
I was talking about who's number 1 region in the company right now.
Oh, but like about like $2,000. Hey, look.
He ain't getting that incentive again. Hey, I'm gonna help him out on that.
How big was my lead last month though?
I'm just gonna help him out a little bit, so he ain't got to worry about that.
I think first place was like 6 million, and second place was like 4.5.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, consistency. We maintain consistency.
But yeah, I mean it's been good. We've also been playing a lot of golf.
Yeah.
Been playing a lot of golf, and you know what I mean? And one thing, I kind of think about golf is like, you get on the golf course, it's quiet. It's a lot of time for you to think. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I always got my Shocks headphones in, taking phone calls and stuff. But when I play golf, it's just kind of like it gave me a different perception on just life, because I feel like in golf, you're always trying to set up for your next shot. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, you're not playing that shot, you're setting up for your next one. You know what I mean? And I think that just goes back to life. Like, what's your next move? Are you planning for your next move? And that's
Yep.
something I've really um, took in as I've started playing the sport a lot more. And just, even with life, like, dude, like, we need to be preparing for our next shot. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? What do we need to do now to be able to make the next
I
shot?
think as perspective on golf and in business, uh, the way that I kind of correlate is that whenever you use the right club and you have the right form and you make the right contact on the ball, then the ball is going to go where you want it to go. But we talk about it. You can change one small thing. You can change your grip. You can change where the ball is in your stance. If it's not where it's supposed to go, and the likelihood of it going where you want it to go is very unlikely. So I've been thinking in that perspective of like running a business. It gives you time to think about it. But when everything's done the way it's supposed to be done, it's very rewarding, right? It's going to go right where you want it to go. But whenever we get lazy, you get like a lazy swing or, anything, you don't take focus on something, one of the aspects of your swing. That's when something goes wrong. So I've been kind of thinking about it in that aspect, but kind of let's kind of go into what brought golf up. Like on these regional trips, it is very taxing. Going on these trips. Me and you we found that we were in the same boat where we'd go run the morning meeting, we'd get back to the hotel, we'd start making phone calls, and then we go stir crazy in this hotel, walking in circles. Just in a little bitty room. And so me and Dakota, we've been talking about like on these regional trips, in the evening time, we're away from family and all this kind of stuff. We need to find something to occupy our minds. So we both have been starting to play a little bit of golf, and there's value in it because it comes back to that principle, and we learn as we go, and it's also very stressful because it's a very challenging sport. We're continuing to challenge ourselves while we're out there. So I mean, yeah, it's just something that's been really occupying our free time. Taking a little bit of our finances as well, buying a little bit too much,
Yeah.
but it's been keeping us occupied. And it's been all in good spirit, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely in good spirit. I would just say it's like, and this goes, I think about like people that work in an office and they just sit there all day long. Like, how do you do it? Because when we go on these regional meetings, you know what I mean? We're going into the office and then we go run our meetings. We're doing market on our work with them after.
Yeah.
Typically about an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on what's going on in the market.
Hmm.
But after that, we're off. They're doing their normal sales things, and then we're off doing our normal sales things, making phone calls to market owners. And when you just sit in that hotel room across the country from everything that and you're just walking in circles and circles, dude, you talk about make you literally go stir crazy.
And then the thing is, I think it's phone call after phone call after phone call. They're usually stacked up because you didn't answer phone calls from the meeting and stuff. And so I'll be on the phone the whole evening. And then I look up and it's like 7 o'clock and I got to figure out dinner. And I got to it's just, it turns into like, that was my whole day. But just being outside, it's made these trips more enjoyable.
Yes.
And I think it's also correlated to our regions because we've been in the top two, top three,
Yep.
literally every single month for these past couple of months by a pretty substantial amount. So I think it comes back to leadership. When leadership is, clear-minded, and doing everything in good efforts, then there's usually good results that follow.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, well, I want to kind of talk about, so like in my region this past month, the biggest focus that I put emphasis on was recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about with Hayden a second ago on the previous pod, was, you know what I mean? A key indicator on me on a good, successful office is when I walk in there and I hear knockers talking about recruiting,
Yep.
closer, market owner, right? Whenever you got people that are not recruiting, then the room becomes stagnant, and once it becomes stagnant, it becomes stale.
Yep.
I've said it a million times. But really just making sure. And that also gives us the benefit whenever we are on our regional trips. Guess what? When you play golf, you pair it up with 3 other people every tee time. You know what I mean?
Time I've only played like three days in the past couple of weeks, but every time I've played, I get a new follower on Instagram. And I haven't gone. What I find interesting is I'll talk about work, and I don't really talk about what I make or anything. I just talk about like the work itself and how it's changed my life. I used to work at Chili's and stuff. And I always end up getting a new follower on Instagram or Facebook.
Yep.
Those people will go find me. So it does help you to recruit.
Yeah, which I think is very crucial, because even if they might not be the person that comes and works for performance or whatever, but they might know somebody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just another networking aspect. And also they always say that businessmen should be able to play golf. You know what I mean? It's like a business sport, I guess a lot of people call it. But
my aunt used to always say that the rich sports were golf and tennis. If you're good at those two sports, then you can hang with the wealthy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do that. You know what I mean? A lot of business trips. I mean, you don't see business retreats putting on football pads and going to play football.
No, Levi would. That'd be right up Levi's alley.
Then he'd tear his Achilles.
Yeah,
You know
busting down. Maybe he should pick up golf. Maybe try it out.
I don't know what Levi would look like swinging a golf club.
I don't know. You need to stretch a little bit. Probably.
Yeah, I need to stretch a little bit. He might bend it.
Yeah, bench it.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, I think that's super crucial, just like with our regions and stuff like that. But also, I really kind of want to dive onto the point. Do we feel like, or do you feel like every month is kind of like a new, not motive, a new topic for each region? Like you said, last month was keep it simple.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Is that just like a naturally thing?
I don't know.
I just feel like mine's more just like natural, comes to my brain, rather than like, okay, this month's keep it simple, next month's this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I feel like before I was taking the time and I'm listening to every CRO on the Trello board. I'm getting closers to send me CROs before I get into their meetings for where I'm traveling to. And I feel like that's usually where I'll kind of put up like what the trainings need to be. But lately I've been kind of doing like the big broad of like the company needs this. And I think back into it, and what I think is really good about it, it's almost like as market on our closer meetings, it's the same topics that we just talk about on repeat. And if you think about it, if we can time those topics out and have it to a system, and now we've created like this curriculum that's going to just continue to rotate through and through. And whenever we continue to move up, the curriculum stays the same. So I feel like it's going to help us in scaling our business by having these same meetings that get to be brought up. If you think about it, the market owners, they run the same meetings every day, right? They're keeping it simple. Go take the book out, run something out of the book, have a testimony that can strengthen the book, mean the information out of the book, and then run role plays, right? So it's like the meeting basis should be the same every time. So the more we do it, we should be getting better at it. Like for me, when I do my meeting where this is where you're born, this is where you died, I've ran that meeting 100 times. But every time I run it, I get a little bit better at it. I'll say something that I should have said, like I wish I would have said on the last one. So I think about it whenever we just kind of bring these topics back up. I feel like all it's doing is it's either strengthening the market owners because it's a refresher. I mean, even myself, when I go and watch like Levi's meeting on urgency or the 4 qualifiers, all it does is it strengthens my belief again, because I was like, oh, that's what I learned forever ago. It just reminds me of the basics. So I feel like I've been liking the broad curriculum. I like to call it like every month's a new core curriculum.
And maybe we can dive into this a little bit, just because, like you're talking about curriculum systems, right? We were talking about Guppy moving to Denver a second ago, and how he just implemented his systems from Nashville, which is why Knoxville's $1 million office. They used in the same system.
Nashville's $1 million, and Denver did.
Yeah, Denver did $1 million, right? But all he did is just plug in his system, which is the performance Windows system at the same time, but you get the point. But let's think about like when me and you came up. Somebody was telling me, I was talking to a closer and came up in conversation of how stuff changes within the company. And I'm like, stuff that I did as a market owner can't be done now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you've experienced that in many different things. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about closers. The specific topic is sending closers home after they qualify to learn the closer script if they got their 2 recruits, rather than keeping them on the doors.
Yeah.
Right? And nowadays, that's not what we push. We push stay knocking, learn it on your off time. But whenever me and you were market owners, it was, okay, you're done. You're not sitting on this board no more. Your income is your sole responsibility at this point. You know what I mean? And it's a double-edged sword. But like I was explaining to this closer in the company, I was like, as the company evolves, right, we learn new systems. There's new things, put in new policies, new SOPs.
Ways to keep people in the company longer, and while still being able to sustain growth.
Right. But let's talk. I want to go back to let's go back to our Denver days, North Denver. I was a closer. You were the market owner.
Yep.
We had the book. We had the manual.
Yeah.
But we taught ourselves.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Like, we did not get taught. The only thing that we got taught was the script, and then we had to figure everything else out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I never, but now, and I think that, like we were talking about the market owners running the same meeting over and over again, I think that we did the exact same thing, but it was just a little bit less structure for us. Which also brought its own challenges. But I just think it's very intriguing on, as the company grows, how much we have like official policies installed.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah. Even looking back on it, I feel like I was, at the time of market owner for me, I felt like my mantra was, if it's not working, something has to change, so learning from that is whenever, like, now I can bring it into market owners and they'll be like, oh, I haven't seen revenue in so many days. And I'm like, well, tell me what you've done to change that result. So I think it has helped us to structure, because now we can solve a problem in such a shorter amount of time, because we've experienced ourselves, we've experienced the failure. Like for me, if I go like 3 days of no revenue, the fourth day I'll come in there, wipe the board clean. We're not doing goal accountability. Today's day one. I'm going to change the whole vibe of the meeting. I'm going to bring good energy. Like, tell everybody we've been winning the past 3 days. Like, just fake it till we make it type stuff. But I think because we failed and we've experienced that failure without system, it's been able to help us, help the company to grow and help our region sustain high numbers as well.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's exactly correct. I think that because of the stuff that we had to learn, we were able to help implement into the systems to where,
I mean, even on the recruiting aspect, think about how strong recruiting has came since Denver. Like, nobody used to house people. Like, that's not a thing in the industry of housing people for recruiting. But you see, even like Heidi will house people now. You
somebody
see
well, she did work in Denver,
but from a completely different downline. But you see that in other aspects as well.
Billy.
Like Billy housing people.
Hayden.
That's Hayden housing people. Like stuff like that. It's kind of created. Like, we figured out because of our failures, like even housing multiple people in a house, we were able to give advice on a shorter period so that these market owners can have success faster.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's just all part of growth, though.
Yeah, definitely all part of growth. And I think that as the company evolves, like you said, it's to give it more structure for people to stay longer, right? We're able to give people, rather than short success, we're able to give them long-term success. So I think it's very crucial, but I do believe that. I mean, heck, we're pacing $23 million right now. Obviously, it's only the fifth day of the month, so still got a lot of month left into us, but we're constantly on an uphill trajectory.
Yeah, still did over 20 million last month.
Yeah, still did over 20 million, but I think it's crazy now that we don't even celebrate those. I had a memory pop up on my it was like Instagram or Facebook or something like that, but it was like the May revenue of 2 years ago. And it was like 6 million. And I'm like, my region did that.
Literally.
And it's like, I don't know, it's actually insane.
Yeah. Well, we've been able to see a lot of growth, and, we've helped it to continue to grow.
How do we tell if people, because we had a conversation with somebody the other day, and we're actually on the golf course. And I think it's very interesting when people come to, because people ask us questions all the time, right? People always ask us, why didn't y'all go start y'all's own window company, right? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten asked that. Give them your answer.
Well, for me, we didn't have to take the huge risk, and we didn't have to figure out the systems. The systems were already there, and we came in and we saw that the opportunity here was unlike anything we've ever seen. So, greed is gonna just hurt you in the long run, you know. But yeah, we saw the systems and we saw what was possible. And I think coming into this company, if we didn't have to take the initial risk up front, and figure it out and find installers and you deal with Synchrony and deal with all these different
Build
things.
those relationships.
You know, I've had a pretty pleasant ride so far, you know, and I hadn't even made 4 years here in the company. And, you know, like it's ultimately the stresses that I've had to do, I've only had to focus on sales.
Yep.
Which is a beautiful thing because that's what I'm good at is sales. So I've only had to focus on sales with a little bit of ops on the side. But as far as ops go, I've got an incredible support system already there. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go build that. And I still make more than some other business owners make, you know, in the same industry. So in my opinion, it was just, you know, I'm thankful for what I have. Yeah. You know, and I've never been told I can't do something or go do this way. You know, like I've been given advice, but I'm a learner. You know, I'm always going to take advice and try and see things from that perspective. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, I always think that kind of what you said, like they did the hard part of figuring it out. You know what I mean? Then we just came in here and honestly enhanced it. Mm-hmm. You know, we definitely brought a lot of value. I mean, that's no secret on how we do things. But I think that just them doing the hard part. But the biggest thing, the reason I asked that question is because a lot of people look at us like we made it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, man, how do I get in their shoes? Mm-hmm. You know? And the reality of it is you can be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, where we're at right now, we're pacing $20 million. In 3 years from now, when we're doing $70 million a month, it's the same thing as what we were doing $6 million whenever we started. Yep. You know what I mean? It's the same perspective, same dynamic. So the biggest thing that I would tell you is we were actually having a conversation about it the other day. Is like, when's the next downline like ours going to come in? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because nobody's even gotten close.
Yeah, somebody from the East Coast somewhere.
Yeah, very well possible.
Like a Michigan somebody or a Detroit guy that just pulls in like a whole downline of people that we don't have an office from there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But the thing I would tell somebody is that if you're wanting to scale and you're wanting to get to a position of, you know, regional, you know, work your way up to a VP, because don't think that you can start within this company and you could be a VP. Yep. You know what I mean? But you have to believe it. It's not going to be easy. Mm-hmm. Nobody's saying that. But you got to, you know, build your team, build your downline, constantly recruit, you know, constantly bring people in. Even at the level that we're at, we're constantly seeing how can we provide value to our business, right? Mm-hmm. How can we grow our business? How can we get people into our other offices that are just connected through us, mm-hmm. you know? And I think that's just something that, you know, Kyle said it a long time ago on our podcast. He was like, man, you know, whenever we came into the company was doing $20 million, you would think that we're hitting the dock when in reality we're hitting the open seas, right? Same thing now. Don't think that we're hitting the dock because we are just hitting the open seas. We have so many more resources now, mm-hmm. and we're only getting bigger. I mean,
it's so much easier to grow. Like it's actually easier to promote now than it was when we got in. Yeah, like you can have less of a skill set, but purely because of the guidance that we have above you, like you'll be able to scale in the company within a year.
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But the biggest thing is you got to be coachable. Constantly recruiting. If you cannot recruit, then any style, I don't care what business you want.
Yeah, well, recruiting is selling. And selling is the lifeblood of any business. Yep. You know, so if you're not selling your business, it's not growing.
But if you can just sell a product, well, then you're just a good closer. You know what I mean? But if you want to be a good business owner, you have to be good at recruiting and selling vision. Simple as that.
Yeah. And you can train closers. And just being a good closer it's good to have your board, but it's not the true value is by bringing somebody in and changing their life as well. You know, like it's more than just closing the deals and being a lead baby. Like, because even just being a closer, you can be a cancer and be a closer. Yep. You know, we have a lot of those. Whereas a good closer is somebody who is actually helping the company to scale as well. Mm-hmm. But stagnation is death. As soon as you get stagnant as an individual, then the job becomes stale for you.
Yep. And it becomes harder.
Yep.
Right? I always say lazy people work harder. If you're too lazy to go out there and recruit, well, guess what? You're going to work harder because all you're going to be doing is knocking.
That's right. The cheat code to this job is having a recruit that you want their success more than you want your success. Mm-hmm. That's a cheat code. Because if you come in and get that person paid and now you have to close their deals, guess what? Now you're both winning. right?
Yep.
But most people are too selfish to change the perspective. Like for me, anybody I recruit, I'm like, dude, I promise you, I will have you making $10,000 in your first month, right? I'm guaranteeing it. Oversell and I over deliver, But it's my intention is whenever I come and live in my house, I'm going to do everything they need to do for 60 days to ensure that they have that same success that I promised.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's the cheat code. When you want your recruit or somebody who you tell about the job to have success, where their success is more important than your success, then that's where you'll never fail.
Yep. Facts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool deal. Well, we greatly appreciate all of you watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to all of our channels. If you're watching on a podcast app, make sure to rate and review and follow. And we appreciate all the support. Keep making the money and work hard.